Hello, I'm Dr. Select, and welcome to the Gaming Study. We're making progress as we review and rank almost every aspect of every classic Mega Man game. Today we'll look at the last game developed for the NES, Mega Man 6. We've got a lot of ground to cover, so pull out your college-ruled notebook, grab your best writing implement, find a nearby coffee shop, and let's write that next great American novel.
Time to play some Mega Man.
Today, we're marching forward with the closing entry of an era for the classic series. By now, we've got a franchise that's starting to feel drained of ideas, and the question is... Cameraman, what's going on?
I'm not sure. They just showed up, wanting to talk to me about something.
Okay, hello, officers? Can this wait? We're trying to record here.
No can do, bub. Your man here matches the description of a suspect we're looking for. And we need him to stand the line so our witness can identify him.
This really can't wait? It'll only take an hour or so, depending on how many lines I flub. And I've been getting better.
This is of utmost importance, kid. We need him at the station pronto.
But why? What am I being accused of?
Murder.
What? Cameraman.
But I haven't killed anybody. I'm just your simple, friendly neighborhood cameraman. Worst I do is shoot you at a bad angle.
That's what they all say. They do?
All right, enough of this jibber-jabber. You're coming with us.
Please, I really need him. He's my cameraman.
Don't worry, Dr. Select. Just leave it up to the animator. He's done well the last 5 episodes.
Okay. Hey, wait!
All right, gotta move on. Right this way. I'm coming.
Cameraman's no murderer. Hopefully he can get this cleared up quickly. I should probably get the help wanted ads ready just in case. Anyways, by now we've got a franchise that's starting to feel drained of ideas, and the question is, what can they do to keep the experience fresh? So they revamped Rush to transform into a suit Mega Man wears, as well as diverting paths for Mega Man to explore. And let's not forget the new villain, Mr. X, who's totally not Dr. Wily. Will these new elements help set Mega Man 6 apart from the games already present? That's what we'll find out today. And to do that, I'm going to rank the Robot Masters, critique the Wily Castle, and update the running tally of the games themselves. The ranks are only getting more competitive with each new entry, so let's add one more. Being the last game produced for the NES, Mega Man 6 didn't stray too far from the expected paths. Though Kenji Inafune would joke, we were always implementing new ideas, and we finally arrived at the inevitable, assembling. Now our dog companion Rush would no longer send you flying high into the air by a giant coil, but rather be worn by Mega Man as either a jetpack or power suit. As for the Robot Masters, the team put greater emphasis on submissions from overseas, leading to the inclusion of 2 that were designed by North American fans, Nightman and Windman. They were placed on the North American cover in reference to this. Dr. Wily defeated once again, the world decided to prevent his return by creating the World Robot Alliance, which united scientists around the world to advance the field of robotics, supported by the generous X Foundation. Making great progress, they decided to hold a robot championship to see which robot master was the strongest. However, at the first annual robot tournament, the mysterious Mr. X appeared and proclaimed for all to hear, "Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you all for coming to see the final event of my first annual robot tournament. As you know, I have kept the final event of the tournament secret. This event will test the strength, skill, and intelligence of each of these fine robots. In fact, it will also test the strength and skill of each one of you. That may seem strange, but I'm sure you will understand when I explain that the final test for these robots is to help me conquer the world. Please excuse me and my robots as we teleport out of here, but we have a lot of work to do. But don't worry, you'll see me again soon, very soon. Before he leaves, Mr. X brags that he's been the one behind Dr. Wily this whole time, but requires him no more. He then disappears with his 8 newly acquired robot masters. Not too far behind is Mega Man, ready to defend the world once again. For these review videos, I'll be ranking 3 main aspects of each game. They are Robot Masters. Based on 4 main categories, I'll rank each Robot Master from 8 to 1, then add up the points and see who rises to the top. Wily Castle. There are 5 categories the Wily Castle will be ranked in. I'll tally up the points for each respective Wily Castle and update the rankings per video. Therefore, this will change every time a new game is reviewed. Mega Man Games. I'll use the same process I have for the Wily Castles. I'll assess the Mega Man games in 6 categories. Then I'll adjust the rankings with each new entry. Now, let's get right into it. First up, we have the Robot Masters. In numerical order, they are Blizzard Man, Centaur Man, Flame Man, Night Man, Plant Man, Tomahawk Man, Wind Man, Yamato Man. To rank the Robot Masters, I focused on 4 main categories. These categories are Design, Stage, Special Weapon, and Music. To make them as objective as possible, I broke some of the categories down further into several subcategories. For example, in design, I broke it down into 2 subcategories, appearance and backstories. I ranked the Robot Masters in these subcategories. Then I tallied up all the points together, and that got me my design ranking. I did this for several categories throughout my ranking system. However, I'm not going to show those subcategory tallies because then this video will be hours long, and frankly, I ain't got time for that. But just know, that's how I'm doing the rankings. Additionally, I want to mention that where there were any ties, that's when I inserted my personal preferences to break them. With all that out of the way, let's rank these Robot Masters. First up, coming in 8th place, we have Windman. Windman originally worked in agriculture, using the great propeller turbines on his shoulders to generate wind that could reach up to 200 meters per second and thus help increase the yields of harvests or create energy for wind farms. Currently, he's got something of a rivalry with Airman, whose model he was designed after, though Windman's appearance looks more humanoid. Since he originated from East Asia, he's a talented cook and a martial artist, a skill that'll come in handy in the tournament. Mega Man must scale a large orange, green, and yellow Chinese tower, presumably used to monitor weather conditions. Set mostly in the sky, it suffers the same way most elevated stages do, in that the background is rather static with blue skies and a smattering of clouds. Couldn't they have put in some blimps or planes or something to help fill in the space? Yet I will say the interior is pretty cool with this giant green centrifuge that reminds me of a missile silo. Climb the tower and eliminate this adorable panda to reach the first screen of this stage's gimmick. Caged propellers that elevate you off the ground. Be careful when using them, or you might find yourself sailing right into the spikes above. Hop on the platform for it to switch sides, or use jet adapter to get yourself an E-tank. Then make your way into the second tower, where this guy's waiting to give you a good stomp. Do one last cage propeller, spike ceiling, adorable panda section, and you're at Windman. Windstorm generates up to 3 powerful tornadoes that sweep across the floor, much like Search Snake or Water Wave. Unfortunately, it doesn't damage enemies. It simply lifts them into the air and off the screen, thus denying you any item drops. Like Gravity Hold. Therefore, it's a weapon I'd recommend using right away, so that you can utilize other weapons to refill it afterwards. As the sun rises on a clear, cloudless day, the technicians and crew members work diligently to ensure the blimp is ready for takeoff. Passengers board, all giddy for their day excursion in the air. When it's time, the line is cast, and the blimp slowly lifts off the ground. Everyone is glued to the windows as they lift off. The further they climb, the greater their excitement as they marvel at the sights below and cheer on their great success. For a time, the wingless are masters of flight and revel in that fact for as long as they are airborne. Tallied up, this gives Windman a total of 9 points. Coming in 7th place, we have Blizzard Man. Blizzard Man has quite the resume. Originally, he spent his days monitoring the weather in the Antarctic, until he replaced his meteorological equipment with a machine that produced artificial snow. Then he went on to becoming a 3-time gold medalist in skiing at the Winter Robot Olympics, a natural considering his design. For a brief time, he served as a weather forecaster before joining the first annual robot tournament. What can he say? He can't resist a good competition, apparently. Yet, due to his competitive nature, he's developed something of a reputation among his fellow robot masters, with many considering him rather shady and known to have a short temper. Located on some sort of outpost in the snowy mountains, Blizzard Man's stage fits his theme perfectly. The ground is covered in ice where the slightest nudge sends Mega Man sliding across the floor, and the background is filled with mountains. There's also plenty of snow-themed enemies like these snowball-generating seals, these curling pucks, and this octopus that hurls ice cubes out of its snout. If you have Flame Blast, then you can melt these ice pillars for a 1-up, this cracked ice block for extra goodies, as well as these pillars for an E-tank. Jump the bomb platforms for some health, then fall into this area filled with ice cubes containing some sort of machinery, where you'll eventually come across a docked submarine rising and lowering with the waves. Be careful of the spikes above and below, and if you're quick, you can use Flame Blast to claim the second E-tank in this stage. Face off against one more octopus, and explode these bombs, and then it's on to fight Blizzard Man. Blizzard Attack produces 4 ice crystals from behind Mega Man and launches them in 4 directions before him like a shotgun blast. This allows him to damage enemies ahead of him and behind him. It's also an attack that deals heavy damage to fire-based enemies. Overall, Blizzard Attack is best used when there are several enemies in front of you. Otherwise, you'll find yourself expelling a lot of energy just to take down one person. His theme feels triumphant, capturing Blizzard Man's more athletic side. It's the encouraging tune as an Olympian prepares himself to brave the slopes. Though he's fallen some in the ranks, this one perfect performance could still earn him the gold. And this theme reminds him how hard he's practiced, how far he's come, and that nothing is impossible. In the end, Blizzard Man receives a total of 11 points. Coming in 6th place, we have Plant Man. Before the first annual robot tournament, Plant Man worked as a keeper of a botanical garden, and eventually became its mascot due to his growing popularity. He is an expert botanist with a dainty personality, and can be quite sensitive when it comes to plant life, often flying into a rage should he see someone step on a flower, or wilting in depression when the clouds obscure the sun. Due to his flower design, he tends to attract several honeybees, which Plant Man is not very fond of. Plant Man's stage is an interesting meshing of nature and industry. Throughout, we see a forested backdrop, thick with bushy treetops that completely obscure the sun the deeper Mega Man ventures onward. At the beginning, flying bugs ambush him from the trees, and grasshoppers jump towards him. If you have the power suit, you can break this obstacle for a 1-up. Then climb into some sort of factory or warehouse where Eddie will give you a treat for being such a good boy. Defeat the Fist Guy, enjoy the bouncy springs, defeat the Fist Guy again, and then comes the most frustrating part of this level, if not the whole game. Mega Man's jump height is dependent on you holding down the jump button. So time your jumps just right so as to leap over the pond pits while dodging the pit fish and the turrets and the flying bugs, and then shoot the platforms and jump on them, all while avoiding the pit fish and the turrets and the flying bugs, as well as the turrets now bouncing on the springs as you go a-bouncing too. And don't forget this last effed up fish right before Platman! This stage, hands down, takes the cake for most annoying platforming section in the series. Plant Barrier sprouts a ring of flower petals around Mega Man and eliminates almost every enemy in one hit. Pretty much it's programmed just like the Skull Barrier, where it can't be thrown and it'll immediately disappear upon contact, which can use up a lot of weapon energy if confronted with several small-sized enemies and projectiles. Though it does have the advantage of ignoring shielded enemies, and comes in handy when trying to race through a crowded stage. This theme has that energetic adventure feel expected of a Mega Man theme, but unfortunately I've got to lump it in with those like Hard Man and Stone Man, where it doesn't convey anything distinct to the robot master it's attached to. Dare I say, this sounded like a filler, where the composer didn't know what to do with Plant Man, so dusted off a generic tune to fill the quota. Don't get me wrong, it's still good, it just doesn't evoke any particular feelings in me. Plant Man closes out with a total of 12 points. Next up, in 5th place, we have Centaur Man. Centaur Man was designed to resemble the mythical creature that inspired his creation. He has the lower body of a horse with 4 legs and the torso of a human, with the addition of 3 giant horns sticking out of his head. He's a strong-willed bot who can in one moment rush to a decision, while in the next dwell deeply on his past regrets. Before entering the tournament, he worked as a tour guide, showing patrons around the old archaeology museum. Its current state of disrepair motivated him to sign up in the first place, so that he can use the winnings to restore the museum to its former glory. Centaur Man's stage is perhaps the least relevant to his theme. It still has that classical aesthetic that fits his fantasy origins. But aren't centaurs known to live in forests, not castles? This should have been located in some sort of wooden glen like that of Woodman's stage in Mega Man 2 or Napalm Man's stage in Mega Man 5. I can also say that this is not his museum, considering the majority of it is underwater, which is another issue that makes me think this was meant for a water-based robot master before the developers selected Centaur Man. At the beginning, Mega Man is confronted with a volley of falling jellyfish and seagulls spitting out floppy fish. Drop into the underwater section, eliminate these patrolling fish, and watch out for the spikes. Then you'll enter this interesting section where the water rises and lowers above you. Time your jump so that the water can lengthen your arches just far enough to pass over these spikes. Here's Eddie with something good for you. Platform across these blocks as these cloud submarines attempt to impede your progress. Then it's, wait, 2 boss doors? I'll talk about that later. Centaur Flash is this game's full-screen attack, similar to Acid Flush and Gravity Hold, and just like them, uses a ton of weapon energy, so use it sparingly when surrounded by enemies. This weapon distorts time and space, damaging not only nearby enemies, but piercing shielded enemies and destroying projectiles. But be careful when firing this attack since it momentarily halts Mega Man's movement, so avoid triggering it when jumping over pits. Those starting few notes sound like someone beckoning you forward, enticing you to close your eyes and give way to sleep. And when you open them again, you find you've been whisked away to some fanciful dreamlike world, ready to send you off on a wonderful adventure. A vibe perfect for the fantastical Centaur Man, since centaurs are known to be rather secretive, and yet so alluring to those lucky enough to glimpse one. Centaur Man finishes with a total of 19 points. Now, in 4th place we have Yamato Man. Modeled after a samurai warrior, Yamato Man's armored frame might appear tough and rigid, but is actually surprisingly thin and light, allowing for greater mobility at the sacrifice of defense. Before competing in the robot tournament, he was already a hardened combat robot, known for his shyness around others, and a Japanese spirit coursing through him. Though he wielded a spear in the tournament, he much prefers a Japanese sword as his main weapon. He is bad with money and holds Nightman in high honor, oftentimes feeling as the inferior armor-wearing robot master in the tournament. Before entering the Japanese fortress, we get a lovely view of the giant mountain in the back and a cityscape complete with traditional Japanese-style architecture. Inside, Yamato Man's stage feels like an extension of Windman's stage. The aesthetics are nearly the same. Only here we get these giant metal sheets bolted to the wall and brick walls supported by girders with grated windows. This stage by far has the most amount of diverging paths in this game. Use the power adapter to break through this cracked block and fight the mini-boss. Or climb the ladder and platform over these pits while these dragonflies drop bombs in your way. The paths converge here where you can either use jet adapter to reach the ladder above or take the ladder below. The upper ladder will take you to the Yamato Man fight, who will give you a letter for beat, while the lower will have you dodge these jumping fish and pass through this tight space with spinning valves as these ceiling crawlers shoot pellets downward. Fight off this great theme-specific enemy and you're at Yamato Man. Yamato Spear is perhaps the most simplistic weapon of this game, not too different from the needle cannon. It has plenty of weapon energy that makes it one of the most valuable basic weapons in your arsenal, next to Night Crusher and Silver Tomahawk. It too can pierce through shielded enemies and damage almost every enemy in your way. Yamato Man's theme captures that moment right before a warrior is set to fight. They're positioned just outside the arena, waiting for their name to be called. Their eyes closed as they breathe deeply to reach a place of zen. They've trained long and hard for this moment, and now that it has arrived, their nerves threaten to undo them. When it is time, they will step onto the mat and confront their opponent in a duel of fists, kicks, and resolve. But their victory is only assured once they have mastered themselves well before the announcer proclaims their name. Yamato Man lands in the middle of the pack with a total of 20 points. In third place, we have Flame Man. Flame Man can generate enough thermal power to provide enough electricity to several blocks of homes and factories, despite how outdated his technology is when compared to solar energy production. He's a punctual bot due to mostly his need to change out his oil 3 times a day, a strict routine which has made him rather demanding over the years. He likes to keep his mustache well oiled and wears a turban as a sign of pride for his possible country of origin. To compete in the robot tournament, he had his thermal circuits reversed so as to launch fiery attacks at his opponents. Set in what is presumably a Middle Eastern palace, Flame Man's stage has this great mixture of industry, desert, and antiquity. The background shows several sand dunes and a great wall like that of Babylon stretching across the horizon. In the foreground, we get more of Flame Man's direct theme, as stacks of barrels labeled Danger are present throughout, and these puddles of spilled oil threaten to ignite with the slightest flame, and these fireheads are all too willing to provide that spark. Shoot these little guys with a charged Mega Buster shot, and they'll flip into the fire, providing you easier passage across. Sand courses through the stage until we get deeper into the palace, where it's then replaced with rock or dirt. A nice visual representation of movement. Grab this E-tank, prevent these guys from igniting the oil, and on to Flame Man. Flame Blast is a fireball with an arc. It'll hit a wall or floor and ignite a pillar of flame. For some reason, it can also be used underwater, and yet can't ignite the fire pits in Flame Man's stage. Weird, right? Additionally, it's one of the most useful weapons in the game because it can melt these ice pillars, as well as can be spammed repeatedly for fast destruction of certain enemies, especially the Fist Guy in Plant Man's stage, and the Met Droppers in Tomahawk Man's stage. It's a valuable weapon to have in your arsenal. His theme evokes a sense of the final moments right before the end of a journey, as if someone were only a few steps away from reaching the peak of a mountaintop, and when they do, the great vastness of wilderness stretches before them. From their vantage point, they can see animals frolic about, birds fly, trees sway in the breeze, and perhaps a small village busily toiling away. It's all majestic, making the climb worth the struggle. Flame Man takes the bronze helmet, with a total of 21 points. In second place, we have Tomahawk Man. Designed with a Native American warrior motif, complete with a ceremonial feathered headdress, he's the only bot created exclusively for the first annual robot tournament. He is a brave warrior with a strict code of honor, just like his Aboriginal brothers, yet tends to discriminate against others for one reason or another, just like his Caucasian brothers. He successfully fought his way into the finals of the tournament before Mr. X initiated his plan and kidnapped them all. The Plateau Mountains, the cacti, and the six-shooter enemies really brings together the American Southwest feel to this stage. But it's so short-lived when almost immediately Mega Man falls into this cave and we see only rock wall and blackness. A backdrop that's fairly common in this set of stages, unfortunately. Defeat the Met Dropper to continue on and emerge outside where a beautiful setting sun shimmers before a dusk-red sky. This more than makes up for the blackness in the cave. If you have the jet adapter, get to the ladder and hop over the floor spikes for an E-tank. Then drop down in a factory-looking area where you confront another one of these Met Droppers. And here you can use the jet adapter to take the lower path to fight Tomahawk Man, who will give you the beat letter. Or stick with the upper path where you can break this block and collect the energy balancer. Silver Tomahawk throws a tomahawk in an upward arc similar to Air Shooter. This is arguably the metal blade of this game, since it contains a good amount of weapon energy, can destroy practically every enemy in your way, is the weakness of several bosses. Power Piston was specifically designed for this weapon, and levels massive damage to all three phases of Wily Machine 6. The only downside is the arc, which will require you to get close to enemies for greater accuracy. The train's left the station and you've arrived late, so you jump onto a nearby horse and give chase. Throughout you can hear the clatter of hooves as the main melody evokes speed, daring and fear as the train gains speed, threatening to leave you in the dust. You prod the horse to go faster, but it's already going as fast as its four powerful legs can go. Hurry, hurry, get to that train, or you'll miss that very important appointment that'll determine the rest of your life. Tomahawk Man takes the silver helmet with a total of 23 points. Which means the winner of the gold helmet is Nightman. Nightman is a knight not only in design with his mace ball and heavy shield, but in honor as well. He's a deeply chivalrous bot, and stern to the point of inflexibility when confronted with anything that contradicts his rigid ideology. He places honor above all else and loathes those willing to resort to underhanded tactics. According to some, he's partaken in over 1,000 duels, and has defeated the majority, if not all, of his opponents. This alone has given him the edge over his competition in the robot tournament. Starting just outside the castle proper, we see the red sky of sunset behind a forest, which could make for a great set piece in a Castlevania game. Heading into the underbelly of the castle, we're greeted with a contraption of spikes lowering dangerously close to the ground, a reuse of the compactor from Dustman's stage in Mega Man 4. I think this screen best exemplifies how pleasing the color scheme is. The green pillars and purple background complement each other so well. And you have this little skull guy that's tried so hard to get into Ghosts and Goblins, but they've long stopped taking his calls. Poor guy. Be careful when jumping the rotating valves, and make sure to shoot these guys in the vase so that they'll reveal their heads. Here's Eddie once again to waste my... Oh, thanks. Outside again, take down these graduating PhD students and grab the E-tank if you have the jet adapter. Have some fun in the bouncy castles as you avoid the jet-powered Roombas, and you'll reach Nightman. Night Crusher picks up the mantle where Quick Boomerang and Rolling Cutter left off. When fired, it'll shoot out a spiked ball a few feet, then swing back toward Mega Man. And like Metal Blade and Shadow Blade, it can be fired in multiple directions. Though this can be a disadvantage, as the arc can cause the spike ball to completely miss the intended target, or sail in the wrong direction. Still, it's a powerful attack that can pass over enemy shields and level damage onto them. This theme perfectly encapsulates the scene of a knight mounted on his horse, readying for a joust. With pole in hand, he waves to the cheering audience, a confident smile on his lips. Then when given the order, the two jousters rush towards each other. Their shields take the brunt of the force, and their poles shatter upon impact. And, as expected, his opponent falls off his horse. The gallant knight has earned himself another victory, and another round of merriment and drinking. Nightman leads the pack, with a total of 29 points. Nightman takes the golden helmet, with Tomahawk Man getting the silver helmet, and Flame Man following with the bronze helmet. Wonderful job, guys. Well deserved. Here is a breakdown of the rankings. Coming in 8th, Windman received nothing higher than a 3 in every category, leaving him with 9 points total. Blizzard Man performed well in design and music, but couldn't manage it in stage and special weapon. Plant Man received a 6 in design, but his 2 1s in stage and music dragged him down to 6th place. Centaur Man earned a 7 in design, but Yamato Man's 2 6s gave him the 1 point advantage. Flame Man's 1 in design hurt his otherwise exceptional ranking in all the other categories. Tomahawk Man got an 8 in special weapon and a 7 in music. But he stood no match against Nightman, who received an 8 in the design, stage, and music categories. The best showing of any Robot Master we've seen so far. What do you think of this list? Do you agree with it or not? How would you rank them? Let me know in the comments below. Next, we'll look at the Wily Castle, but first here is Cameraman with his honorable mention.
Seriously, I've done nothing wrong.
It's not for me to decide, Bob. I only go where the clues lead me.
But why me?
Are you familiar with one Doc Robot?
Yes.
His scraps were found not less than 24 hours ago, and we're rounding up anybody who might have a reason to disassemble him.
Oh, but it's not illegal to decommission a robot. First law of robotics is a robot may not injure a human being or through an action allow a human being to come to harm. Nowhere does it say do no harm to fellow robots.
Laws changed. Too much robot-on-robot crime. So the higher-ups added a 4th law.
But Mega Man destroys Robot Masters all the time.
Yeah, but he's got qualified immunity. One of the many perks of the badge.
Dang. Guess I should have gotten into snapping mugshots, huh?
Sit tight, and we'll get you in with the rest of the lineup soon.
Okay.
Cameraman, do you have an honorable mention for today?
What? Oh, yeah. Welcome to Cameraman's Honorable Mention, where I pick a non-top 3 Robot Master to highlight their contribution. Today, I present this award to Centaur Man. He is a noble little horseman dedicated to the Museum of Ancient Artifacts. Even when it began to show signs of deterioration, he joined the robot tournament in the hopes of winning the competition and using the prize money to renovate. Then there was a time he let me ride on his back through a field of wildflowers. Best footage I ever captured. And when we were done, we laid down on the grass and stared into the sky and watched the clouds pass by and talked about what it really meant to be a robot master, and that we were more than machines given artificial intelligence, but rather beings endowed to think, feel, and love just like humans. Then we got totally crunked off E-Tanks. It was a wild time. And that's why I give Centaur Man the honorable mention. Back to you, Dr. Select.
Thank you, Cameraman, and congrats to Centaur Man. Now, on to the Wily Castle. After defeating the 8 Robot Masters, Mega Man hurries to the headquarters of Mr. X, the first of 2 endgame installations, to put an end to his machinations. For the purposes of this ranking, I'm going to treat both installations as one entity, and compare that to the other Wily Castles. To rank the Wily Castles, I'm going to use the following categories: design, stages, bosses, music, and Wily Machine. Much like the categories of the Robot Masters, I broke these down into several subcategories as well. Additionally, to ensure as much fairness as possible, I also ranked individual aspects of the Wily Castle separately. For example, in the bosses category, I split them apart and ranked the Stage 1 bosses, then the Stage 2 bosses, Stage 3, and so on. Then added up the points, averaged the whole thing out, and that got me my boss's ranking. Should a tie occur, then I used my personal preference to break it. This way, the stronger entries have their chance to shine, while the weaker ones won't completely drag down the rest. Again, I won't be showing you these subcategories, because seriously, this will give me content for days. But no, that's how I'm doing it. Now, let's get into it. Here is my ranking for this game's Wily Castle. The opulence of X headquarters perfectly embodies the extravagance of an eccentric tycoon, like Stark Tower in the Marvel Universe or Trump Tower in Las Vegas. He even saw fit to slap his own name on it with a giant X displayed on a red triangle over the domed observatory. Yet Mr. X arguably has an even bigger ego than the others, since his headquarters isn't just a single tower, but rather an entire industrial park with several high-rise buildings, and what looks like a warehouse or factory or fulfillment center at the base of the structure. Mr. X might like to keep operations close so he can supervise every aspect of production. And is it just me, or did he also install a Mario warp pipe? That's definitely a flex. Color-wise, I'm enjoying the bright sleekness of colors. It feels like a perkier version of Wily Castle 4, with some of the architecture of Wily Castle 5. Stage placement provides a great tour of the headquarters. Stage 1 has Mega Man scale one of the high-rise towers, as he locates an entry point into the facility. Stage 2 is a heavily guarded corridor. Stage 3 is the manufacturing center. And Stage 4 is the assembly area. As for placement on the map, I think Stage 2 should have been located in the observatory, since we can see what looks like space through the windows, and that requires height, which I don't think is achieved here, unless the building is way taller than it looks. And where is X? Why is it located outside of the headquarters? Shouldn't it be at the very top of the structure at least? Wily Castle 6 is perhaps the most character of the castles we've seen so far. Modeled after a Japanese temple, it rests on a purple stone platform, complete with green slanted roofs and a radio dish. Dr. Wily's motif of skulls and bones are present, but what really helps make this pop is the level of detail throughout the architecture. I'm loving the balconies and pillars, as well as the strategic use of orange as an accent color against the blue facade and green roofs. I think this is the best use of color since Wily Castle 2. Overall, dare I say, this is the best looking castle so far. The progression through the castle isn't too dissimilar from that of Mr. X headquarters. Mega Man once again has to break into another facility in Stage 1. Stage 2 is an inner sanctum that's been frosted over. Stage 3, Mega Man has to cross over these dangerous water traps. And Stage 4 is a warehouse where Dr. Wily makes his last stand. Though Mr. X headquarters might be opulent, it doesn't compare to the grandeur of Proto Man Castle. Yet when combined with Wily Castle 6, these two easily rise above their competition, earning them a 6 in this category. Keeping with tradition, this first stage has Mega Man scaling the side of Mr. X headquarters. At the start, we see a beautiful nighttime view of a populated urban environment, suggesting we're not too distant from a prominent metropolis. Mr. X hid himself in plain view. Then there are a lot of spikes here for you to maneuver around with the jet adapter. And if you can break this wall with the power adapter, then you'll be rewarded with 4 extra lives. Not an easy thing to do. Or you can climb up higher and enter safely if you don't want to risk it. Once inside the headquarters, you'll confront the boss, Rounder 2. Mega Man's reached a purple and pink corridor with a beautiful view of the stars outside. This is perhaps one of the most simplistic stages we've seen so far, since it consists of a narrow, straightforward hallway with false floors that can drop you into a duct or onto spikes. Mets and drill tanks block your path, and spikes and pitfalls threaten insta-death. Use jet adapter to get over these spikes, then it's a straight shot to the boss, Power Piston. I love the background of this stage. It gives off such great manufacturing vibes, like an overextended assembly plant. And the green and red on black is so pleasant to the eye. Grab the 1-up if you need it, and climb the ladder on the left for an E-tank. Excuse me? The gimmick of this stage is these counterweights. If Mega Man stands on one, he'll lower while the other rises. Balance them out, and use jet adapter when you get a little too close to comfort with these ceiling spikes. With the power suit, you can take the lower path, but it honestly isn't worth it. Reaching another counterweight section, watch out for these floating fire droppers, and equip jet adapter for easier recovery should you get hit. Then it's on to the boss, Medonger Z. The final stage of X Headquarters has Mega Man climbing up, with these mounted turrets being the main enemy of this stage. Be careful with the spikes above. Use Jet Adapter for a better time. Slide through these narrow pathways and grab the E-Tank. And here we get another platform pit section, which isn't too hard. Take out the turrets and shoot down the floating puffballs before the birds emerge and dive bomb towards Mega Man. Another diverging path, go up the ladder to get yourself a 1-up after facing off with these jellyfish. Then it's one last turret puffball section before reaching the boss, X Crusher. After defeating the X Crusher, Mr. X complains that his plans have failed, but exclaims that he still has the power to destroy Mega Man. He then rips off his goatee, revealing he's been Dr. Wily this whole time. Who would have guessed? He flies off and we follow him to Wily Castle. This stage starts with the traditional breaking through the castle defensive line, requiring the use of the jet and power adapters. Then it's a series of screens where you have to fall while avoiding spikes, as these turbines from Windman's stage keep you suspended in air, and these propeller cannons shoot at you. If you can angle it just right, you can get to this cracked block that'll lead you to an E-Tank. Oop! Fooled you! As you continue falling, equip the jet adapter to get around this S-bend. But make sure you've mastered how it works, because the liftoff isn't as intuitive as you might think. Fight one last Japanese warrior, a battle octopus, and a Cannon Joe, and you'll reach the boss, Mechasaurus. Someone set the AC to full cool frost blast in here. The floor and walls are covered in ice, perfect for these curling bots. Grab the E-Tank with the power adapter and brave this otaku block section, which totally didn't stump me the first time. Fight through a gauntlet of nerdy graduates and onto the boss, Tank CS2. Mega Man first has to cross over these water pits as these air conditioners threaten to send him into the spike-lined walls. Fish patrol the area as well. I gotta say that this is one of the more unforgiving pathways leading up to the boss refights. I would hate to game over considering the amount of insta-death opportunities they packed into this short section. Though you can always use the jet adapter as a precaution. Survive the water, and then it's onto the Robot Master refights. Emerge from the teleporter and drop down. At the bottom you'll confront a Met dispenser where the Mets don't seem to drop you any items. What's the point then? Eddie will greet you before the boss door to give you one last item. Thanks, Edster. Then it's on to Wily Machine 6. For the Mr. X stages, I enjoyed their designs. The first stage is nearly identical to the first Wily stage in Mega Man 2, where he has to use his items to scale a tall building. Stage 2 looks great, but its layout is rather lackluster. Stage 3 is one of the best looking in my opinion, and has a great gimmick with these counterweight platforms. And Stage 4 offers 2 pit sections that are way more forgiving than in the previous game. I don't think there's a weak one in the bunch. Then comes the Wily stages. They're shorter and definitely feel like the game is trying to wrap things up quickly. The first stage gives us one last obstacle course with the jet adapter. The next stage is a quick romp through an enemy gauntlet with the only appearance of the otaku blocks in this game. Then we get the expected passageways to the boss refights in Wily Machine, so we can fill up our weapon energy should we need to. In the end, I'll give these stages a 4 in this category. Rounder 2 is a beefed up version of common enemies seen in Mega Man 5. Only this time they run alongside these wall-mounted rails and shoot pellets out at Mega Man. Luckily, the rails allow you to observe their pathway, thus making it easier to dodge them when they come charging toward you. However, because there are 2 of them, it can be difficult to find the space to jump without colliding into the other one. Multiple weapons can take it out: Plant Barrier, Flame Blast, Power Adapter, Night Crusher, and Silver Tomahawk. Select the weapon you most prefer, and you'll take them down in no time. Power Piston clings to the wall, and uses its stomping pistons to scale up and down it, while shooting pellets at Mega Man. As it does, giant boulders rain down from above. Dodge them as best you can, and use Silver Tomahawk to destroy it. This boss was practically made for Silver Tomahawk, so make sure to conserve energy for it, or prepare to suffer as you try to Mega Buster it. Metonger Z is a giant half-tank, half-battle mech controlled by a Met that paces back and forth. Even though it has arms, he never uses them. Instead, he shoots out 3 energy balls that either bounce or fly forward. What a waste. The one time he gets arms and he doesn't use them. Shoot the cockpit with Blizzard Attack or Power Adapter for greater damage. X-Crusher is a giant wrecking ball that swings from side to side as its eyes constantly follow you. As it swings, it'll also release large energy balls that scurry across the ground. You can use the Power Adapter, but make sure you're familiar with its range of attack. Otherwise, X-Crusher will swing right into you with its spikes as you're powering it up. And it deals a ton of contact damage. Flame Blast will also take it down in no time. Mechasaurus is based on a Bronchiosaurus that Dr. Wily used to fight in one of the video games he used to play as a kid. It shoots fireballs from its mouth and sends out platforms from its chest. How convenient. Jump the platforms and hit it in the eye with your Motto Spear. Tank CS2 rolls forward from off-screen, launching pellets from its dome and black bullets from its cannon. It charges forward, trying to squish Mega Man. But every time it gets hit, it skips back a little, like the mini-boss in Plant Man stage. Use Windstorm to take it down before it has a chance to completely corner you. Otherwise, have an E-Tank ready just in case. The X-Headquarters bosses offer a nice variety of challenge with this group. Rounder 2 forces Mega Man to constantly be on the move, as they sail along the rails trying to collide into him. Power Piston forces Mega Man to achieve the height needed to attack an opponent skittering in a high corner. Medonger Z forces Mega Man to find that Goldilocks zone, where he can strike the cockpit without suffering damage himself. And X-Crusher forces Mega Man to maneuver at the most opportune time as a swinging opponent dominates the screen. Then comes the Wily Castle bosses, where the challenges are a lot less intimidating. Mechasaurus forces Mega Man to mount platforms as a volley of fire careen his way. And Tank CS2 forces Mega Man to use brute force before he's completely overwhelmed. Due to this dip in quality, these bosses will earn a 1 in this category. The Mr. X theme has that giddiness of someone getting ready for a joyful night on the town. As if the sailors have just docked their ship and are hurrying off the gangway to take in all they can during shore leave. Above, the stars twinkle across the black sky, and before them, a street glistens in bright neon colors. It's chipper and promises so much. But by now, I'm sure you know what my biggest critique is about this theme. I think it's a good starting theme to the Mr. X stages. But there should have been a second theme that doused this sense of optimism and trepidation the further Mega Man advanced. The Wily theme is a mixture of caution and encouragement. It's telling Mega Man to proceed into the lion's den knowing the risks it'll take to survive. But remember how far you've already come to get here. You're more than capable of getting out of there alive. And knowing this will be the last game for the NES era, it's a fitting theme as the franchise itself ventures into the unknown. Here the music suffers in the same way as it did with Wily Castle 5 from the previous game. 2 songs alone are not enough to support 8 endgame stages. They're fine in their own right, but when compared to the others, they'll receive a 2 in this category. If a Crab and Skull Tank aren't cutting it, then Wily's going to try this oversized slammer to flatten Mega Man into hamburger, or whatever mechanical equivalent for robots. The machine jumps back and forth as the screen auto-scrolls to the right, hindering Mega Man's slide. So make sure to be relatively close to it when dodging. Once it lands, it'll throw 3 giant swirly energy balls. Silver Tomahawk is your best weapon against it. Once the skull cap is blown away, revealing Dr. Wily in the cockpit, we begin Phase 2. It's pretty much the same as before, but now the jumps are randomized. Again, use Silver Tomahawk to take it down in 7 hits. Wily Capsule follows a similar pattern to the previous capsules. He'll vanish for a brief moment before reappearing, then launch 4 swirly balls out. Silver Tomahawk will make quick work of him. At least Wily is experimenting with his machines. This one's not a flying machine, nor some kind of walker. Instead, it's a simple crusher. Its attack pattern is perhaps the most simplistic of them all. It's very predetermined. Not a lot of randomization except for the second phase, thus making it one of the easiest machines to dodge. As for the Wily Capsule, it looks very different from its predecessors, and is arguably the easiest to defeat. I wish after this game they had moved on from the Wily Capsules, because as you'll see, there's only so much you can do with it, And in time, they'll all essentially blend together because of how many attack patterns they'll share. When compared to the others, Wily Machine 6 will receive a 5 in this category. Wily Castle 6 came in like a wrecking ball. It completely disrupted the current rankings and clinched 3rd place in the process. It managed to take the top spot in design, while performing well in the stages and Wily Machine categories, and might have taken 1st if not for the stumbles in both the bosses and music categories. For a while, it looked like Wily Castle 2 was gaining ground, points-wise, that would ensure its 1st place status for the rest of this ranking review series. And yet, Wily Castle 6 shuffled enough points around that the averages actually worked against Wily Castle 2's favor. It is now tied with Wily Castle 4. Though for the time being, I'm going to keep Wily Castle 2 in 1st place. Will it be able to recover its lead, or will Wily Castle 7 knock it down another notch? We'll find out next time. For now, here's my current ranking of the Wily Castles. What do you think? Let me know down below. Dr. Wily once again grovels for forgiveness on his knees. But unlike the previous 5 failures, Mega Man ties him up with rope before he can escape. Captured at last, Dr. Wily is placed behind bars, and the newspapers celebrate Mega Man's crowning achievement. Peace is restored, and surely Dr. Wily has run out of tricks up his sleeve. There's no chance of him breaking out anytime soon, or at least for 6 months. Let them in! Cameraman.
Yeah?
No, just my cameraman. Which one are you?
Here!
Where?
Number 2, step forward.
How's it going?
How do you think it's going? I'm in a police lineup. Everything's dandy.
Do you think it'll take any longer? I kinda need you back in the studio.
You can step back. Number 5, step forward.
Oh, I'm sorry. My arrest is hindering your production schedule. Let me just talk to the police and see if they can hurry it up.
Oh, could you? That'll be awesome.
You know, robots have feelings too.
And rights, apparently.
You're lucky I'm contractually obligated to be here, or I'd quit.
Thank you. Number 1, step forward.
Hopefully he gets out soon. I can't wait 5 to life for him to get back. Now comes time to rank the whole package. To do that, I'll be using the following categories: plot, robot masters, music, difficulty, polish, and replay value. Much like the other aspects, I broke these down into several subcategories to ensure as much fairness as possible, then added up the points, averaged the whole thing out, and that got me my rankings. Should a tie occur, then I used my personal preferences to break it. Here, I'll actually go through the subcategories to best explain my rankings for each main category. Now, let's get into it. Here is my ranking for Mega Man 6. This is the most obvious switcheroo story so far. The previous 2 games used Dr. Cossack and Proto Man to hide Dr. Wily's presence until the twist. This one, however, gives Dr. Wily a goatee and parades him around as the wealthy entrepreneur Mr. X, leader of the X Foundation. Which begs the question, how does he have that much money? Has the X Foundation been his side hustle this whole time? Wasn't his operation struggling for money in the last game? Or was this a more tongue-in-cheek disguise meant by the developers to poke fun at Dr. Wily always being behind everything? As evidenced by Mega Man's exaggerated surprise when Dr. Wily pulls off his goatee later in the game. Aside from that, I do like his scheme this time around, to host a strongest robot competition and kidnap the top 8. Now that's how you gather a strong set of robot masters, literally built to fight. It's a little bit of world building, alluding to the growing number of scientists capable of constructing robot masters around the world. Then at the end, Dr. Wily is finally captured and sent to jail for his crimes. A nice way to lower the curtain on the NES era. Overall, I'm going to give this game a 2 in this category. For the Robot Masters, I used the same ranking system I did for the Wily stage bosses that I mentioned earlier. I ranked the first place Robot Masters to one another based on their design, stage, weapon, and music. Then did the same for second place, then third, and so on. I next added up the points, averaged them out, and that got me my ranking. Hopefully this'll level the playing field, ensuring that first place to 8th place Robot Masters are compared within their proper weight class, so to speak. Here are the results for this game's Robot Masters. A strong showing with 2 6s, 1 5, 4 4s, and 1 2. To provide a brief representation of how they came to be, let's examine 1st place and 8th place. For the 1st place Robot Masters, Nightman proved himself worthy in the design category. What with his strong competitive background and blue medieval armor, complete with shield and mace. Though his stage did suffer a bit against the jungle landscapes of Napalm Man and Woodman stages, his special weapon helped make up for it with a strong showing in 2nd place. Then came the music, which is the toughest category of them all. And while Nightman has a great theme, it struggled against the likes of Fireman and Pharaoh Man. For the 8th place Robot Masters, Windman received 2 4s in the design and stage categories. His bulky build and turbine shoulders helped him stand out from the others, and the bright Chinese-inspired architecture offers a unique feel to his stage. His special weapon, however, is limited due to it being more so the wind version of Waveman's attack from Mega Man 5. And just like with Nightman, going up against the music of Crashman, Topman, and Toadman is a daunting challenge, yet gave him the edge he needed to earn a comfortable 4th place. I love how a good portion of the Robot Master designs were influenced by their country of origin. This is most pronounced with Nightman, Yamato Man, Flame Man, and Tomahawk Man. It helps make them stand out when placed against all the other Robot Masters in the series. Their stages continue the experimentation begun in the previous game. This time around, we have the Upside Down Water and Centaur Man stage, a Submarine and Blizzard Man stage, a Bounce House and Nightman stage, and Oil Pits and Flame Man stage. It demonstrated, if anything, that the developers still had the creativity to create and desire to try new layouts after so many games. The special weapons are majority projectiles with slightly modified trajectories. The only ones that diverge from this are Centaur Flash, Plant Barrier, and Blizzard Attack. As for the music, there was a missed opportunity to distinguish each theme based on the Robot Master's country of origin. Since they were assembled from around the world, it would have been nice to hear those country-specific influences color their themes. Yamato Man could have been Japanese, Flame Man Indian, Nightman English, and Tomahawk Man Native American. How cool would it have been to hear tunes from around the world? Overall, I'll give this collection of Robot Masters a 5 in this category. I wanted to make sure I included as much of the music as I could in this category. Therefore, I broke this into the main themes that every game should have for best comparison. They are main titles, stage select, Robot Master themes, Wily Castle themes, boss fight, weapon get, and endings. Here are my top highlights. Mega Man 6 performed well against the powerhouse contenders like Mega Man 2, 3, and 4, and is a clear improvement in slaptitude over Mega Man 5. Though there are some repetitious elements in the construction of the themes, each one captures that sense of competition so prevalent in the storyline. Hope, encouragement, and endurance act as an undercurrent for almost every Robot Master theme. I can confidently say that the music certainly hasn't lost its edge 6 games deep. Thus why this collection of music will earn a 3 in this category. This game's difficulty can easily be overlooked considering that it's sandwiched between two games often considered the easiest game in the series and the hardest. Yet that doesn't mean it doesn't offer its own set of difficulty spikes that can rival the others. Therefore, to properly compare the difficulty of one game to another, I've decided to base the difficulty of a game on the scientifically objective review of my casual, buster-only, and special weapon playthroughs, counting the amount of times I died and how many F-bombs I dropped. Let's start with my casual playthrough. Since this is one of my least played Mega Man games, I went into this without knowing any of the weaknesses for the Robot Masters. Therefore, I pretty much got some buster-only practice in for 4 of the 8 Robot Masters. Aside from a few skill issue deaths, I passed through the stages without difficulty. That is until I came up against Plant Man's stage, and boy did that do me in. If I had known better, I would have gone to his stage first just to get it out of the way. I returned to the 4 stages with the beat letters to take on the alternative Robot Master fights. Then it was on to Mr. X. Inexperienced with the adapters, the liftoff drag of the jet adapter killed me multiple times here. And trying to break this wall with the power adapter killed me twice. I went into the power piston fight with low health. I could have died and restarted with full health, but I had 9 E-tanks, so I just used one and finished him off with Silver Tomahawk. I used the power adapter against Medonger Z, but I had trouble gauging the distance needed to successfully land a charged punch, which resulted in 2 deaths and the use of an E-tank. I flew through this platform section without dying once, much to my surprise on rewatch years after capturing this footage. X-Crusher managed to claim 1 death and 2 E-tanks. As expected, the Zigzag Spike Challenge claimed a few lives until I finally spent a moment practicing how to use the jet adapter. Mechasaurus was his usual level of annoyance, but I took him down eventually with the Yamato Spear. During the Wily Machine fight, I downed E-tanks like they were Tic Tacs until I finished off Wily Capsule with the Silver Tomahawk. At the end of my casual playthrough, I had 37 deaths and 47 F-bombs. Knowing that Plant Man's stage would be my biggest obstacle, I started with him and only fell into the drink twice before taking down the Robot Master in 1 try. Nightman got the last hit on me and sent me to the game over screen, but when I got back to him, I took him down no problem. For many of the bosses in this game, like Centaur Man, it's more so a war of attrition than anything else. If you come into the fight with full health, then you can simply trade blows until he's defeated. I don't know what it was, but for some reason I struggled with the Submarine and Blizzard Man stage. I was like a magnet to these spikes. Rounder 2 got me good the first round, but I came back strong the second round. Then came Power Piston. He's not a hard boss. He's just one that wears down your patience due to how small your window of opportunity is to hit him with the Mega Buster. I ended up using 3 E-tanks and died twice by the time I finally defeated him. I made it through X Stage 3 somehow without any— Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Come on! Okay, what? Thank you! Mechasaurus's hitbox proved difficult to hit, but I managed to whittle his health bar down a little faster than he whittled down mine. I used an E-tank during the CS2 battle and died only once while fighting Wily Machine. I ended my Buster-only run with 22 deaths and 23 F-bombs. I started with Yamato Spear, but ran out of energy almost immediately into Nightman's stage. Luckily, Eddie came in clutch, but I didn't have enough to defeat Nightman, so I finished him off with the Buster. The same happened with Windman, considering how much energy Centaur Flash uses, and I had already used some of it earlier in his stage. In my desire to showcase each weapon, I entered Blizzard Man's fight with not enough Flame Blast energy, causing me to use an E-tank and having to finish him off with Night Crusher. I seem to have a knack for wasting weapon energy, don't I? Once I defeated Tomahawk Man, I went back to Yamato Man's, Centaur Man's, and Night Man's stages so that I could confront their alternative fights and collect the letters for beat. Did it first try. Pretty much took all the hits in Mr. X Stage 2. By Mr. X Stage 4, I was so low on weapon energy that I rushed this final platform section, and, well, you know how it goes. And these 6 shooters found my Achilles heel. But I game overed, which refilled all of my weapon energy, so that's good. Add this to the list of most annoying pit platform sections. Spikes and fans and fish and water don't make a good mix. Used up all of my silver tomahawk during the boss refights, so defeated Wily Castles with the Mega Buster, ending this run with 24 deaths and 30 F-bombs. It's interesting to see that my casual playthrough proved to be harder than my Buster-only playthrough. But that can be expected as my casual run gave me some needed practice with the jet adapter, as well as some other trickier platforming sections. Looking at you, Plant Man Stage. Overall, this game provided some medium to low difficulty spikes, and the amount of E-tanks guaranteed you'd outlive any boss you confronted. Because of this, I'll give this game a 3 in this category. This category is essentially the catch-all category, where if something I wanted to spotlight didn't fit elsewhere, or felt it could greatly advantage one game over the other, I placed it here as a subcategory. So expect it to be all over the place. Going down the list, let's start with Mega Man 6's cutscenes I feel are a step back from the potential shown in the previous 2 games. The intro cutscene is a return of narration while the Robot Masters flash on screen, followed by a static photo of Mr. X and Mega Man before black background. It would have been nice to actually see images of the Robot Masters competing against each other before Mr. X initiated his plan to kidnap them. The reveal of Dr. Wily is fine, and I do like Mega Man's shock as if he was completely fooled the entire time until that very moment. At the end is the only bit of cutscene animation we see as Dr. Wily waves his arms about before the jail cell bars slam in his face, and it transitions into a photograph for the Capcom Times celebrating the capture of Dr. Wily. The bosses are a good mixture of easy to fairly difficult in the game. Plant Man, Wind Man, and Blizzard Man have the most simplistic pattern that can easily be dodged or brute forced. Then there's Night Man, Yamato Man, Flame Man, and Tomahawk Man who have some RNG built into their patterns, or quick movement that can make it slightly harder to dodge in time. Lastly, Centaur Man is the most concerning of the bunch, since he can appear right on top of you and stun you in place before launching his multi-directional attack. Keeping with the full menu screen as the previous 2 games, this one divides the space into thirds, with the top section reserved for the various suits Mega Man can wear, as well as his life bar. The second contains his special weapons, and the third is broken into 3 boxes for his E-tanks, the energy balancer, and his lives. Overall, the slight adjustments make this look well organized and easy to navigate. The controls seem to have taken a step back here. When trying to jump, it's not as responsive as it was in the previous 2 games. I know the developers adjusted the controls so you couldn't jump out of a slide, but it feels like they also made some changes to accommodate the new rush adapters that hindered some of the playing experience overall. While the stages overall look fantastic, I feel they took a slight step back considering how many backdrops are singular colors, predominantly black. This is true for Plant Man Stage, Centaur Man Stage, Night Man Stage, and Flame Man Stage. I also find it interesting how the texture of each stage looks so smooth, to the point that my headcanon for these stages is that one general contractor built them and used the same materials for all of them. The select screen isn't too different from the select screen in Mega Man 5, yet the weapon get animation is a great improvement. Now there's a little animation of Mega Man, as well as a demonstration of the special weapon he just obtained. Lastly, I love how the color schemes of Night Man's, Yamato Man's, Tomahawk Man's, and Centaur Man's stages change after beating them to indicate they have the beat letters. It's a nice touch that gives you something special for replaying those levels. Especially Tomahawk Man's stage, where the setting sun becomes a rising sun. So cool. This is perhaps the most well-rounded collection of weapons we've seen so far. It's a tight bunch with each one having a unique purpose and only one focused on traversal. Jet Adapter is this game's version of Rush Jet, where instead of riding him like a hoverboard, Mega Man wears Rush like a jetpack. This allows Mega Man to lift off into the air to reach high places or sail over dangerous obstacles. Power Adapter lets Mega Man charge up a punch that can penetrate shields and break blocks. It can even disperse an energy projectile for a short distance. I'm actually surprised that it took this long for the energy balancer to appear in a Mega Man game. Once collected, it'll refill the energy of the weapon with the lowest amount of energy. It's a great time saver, allowing you to recover energy without having to constantly go into the menu and selecting the weapon you want. It's an item that'll be prominent in every Mega Man game from here on out. Once you've collected all the beat letters, you get Beat, who unfortunately has been nerfed in this game, where he'll dive bomb enemies in a stage but won't attack bosses. Thus why I have no footage of him. Though this game has some sequel fatigue that plagued the previous game, it did offer something new, or at least expanded in terms of its stage design. The amount of diverging paths have been greatly increased, allowing players to either take it easy and choose the expected path, or play it a little harder and get a nice reward at the end. It allows for a little more replayability as someone becomes more familiar with the most optimal Robot Master order. Then there's also the hidden boss battles as a means of collecting the beat letters. Though I'd much prefer collecting the letters in Mega Man 5, it was a nice way of utilizing the adapters. And the change in color scheme is such a nice touch. Only wish they did something to incorporate all the Robot Master stages. That's a quick rundown of everything miscellaneous I wanted to talk about. Mega Man 6 attempted to switch things up a bit to keep the playing experience fresh, and in some aspects it succeeded, and others fell flat. If anything, this was a great send-off for the NES era before Mega Man transitioned from 8-bit to 16-bit. Thus why Mega Man 6 receives a 5 in this category. By Mega Man 6, the formula had pretty much been perfected, which can be argued for why this game and Mega Man 5 are usually the forgotten or little talked about games of the classic series. Yet it still offers so much that any Mega Man fan can enjoy. As I recently played through Mega Man 6, I jotted down certain aspects, both good and bad, that would affect replay value overall. They are multiple stage routes, a lot of E-tanks, jet and power adapters, collection of the beat letters, overpowered silver tomahawk, power piston, middling Wily machine, interesting Wily stage layouts, can't jump out of a slide. The beauty of this series is that every entry acts as a standalone game, thus allowing players to pick and choose which Mega Man games they want to play, and which they can ignore. For some, the things I just listed are reasons to replay the game, while for others, there are reasons for them to be like, I played it, don't need to play it again. And that's perfectly fine. It's all a matter of preference. For Mega Man 6, I'm giving it a 4 in this category. Tallied up, Mega Man 6 received 22 points, with 2 5s in the Robot Master and Polish categories, 1 4 in replay value, and 2 3s in music and difficulty. This gives it a strong third place, only 2 points ahead of Mega Man 5, and 2 points behind Mega Man 3. Mega Man 4 has also advanced 2 points ahead of the pack, while Mega Man 2 saw no movement at all, keeping it at 19 points and widening the gap between it and Mega Man 3. Right now, Mega Man 1 is gaining some ground, and might overtake Mega Man 2 if it remains stationary from here on out. Things are starting to spread out. Will that trend hold steady when we include Mega Man 7? You'll have to wait to find out. Until then, what do you think of this current ranking? Do you agree with it or not? Let me know in the comments below. Mega Man 6 marked the end of an era, not necessarily with a bang nor a whimper. It did its best to keep the gameplay fresh, but as Inafune stated, they had reached the inevitable, assembling. Not only that, the landscape was changing for games as well. New consoles with greater capabilities like the SNES and PlayStation hit the market. And Mega Man X, which released a month after Mega Man 6 in Japan, demonstrated what the future of the Mega Man series could look like. The game was caught between a rock and a hard place, and thus why it's usually forgotten among the pantheon of Mega Man games.
Oh, you're back! So what's the score? Am I good to go?
Cameraman, you're under arrest for the murder of Doc Robot.
Aww.
What? No, you can't. That's my cameraman. Right? You're my cameraman?
Yes! Listen, officer, this doesn't make any sense.
You have the right to remain silent.
Please, you gotta listen.
Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law.
I never didn't do no wrong.
You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have them present with you while you are being questioned.
Dr. Select, please do something.
I'll have to check the budget and see if we can afford an attorney.
If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning, free of charge.
Oh, that'll be perfect, officer. We'll have one free of charge lawyer, please.
Oh, come on.
Officer, what'll happen now?
He'll go to trial, and if the jury finds him not guilty, he'll be a free robot.
And what if I'm found guilty?
Disassembly.
Gulp.
Now, come on. Time for the pokey.
Man, cameraman's going to trial. And if things go sour, might be disassembled. What a cliffhanger! I hope you enjoyed my review of Mega Man 6, and I'll see you soon with my ranking review of Mega Man 7. Until next time, bye!